Okay, in the next few videos, we are going to look at the various muscles of the body, specifically just those muscles that you are required to know in lab. And once in lab, you are required to be able to identify the muscle as well as identify what the muscle's action is. Okay, so why don't we get started? We're going to be breaking these down into different regions of the body, and let's get started. And we'll start with this first region right now. Okay, so all of the videos that we are going to do here, I am going to be referencing the visible body program. You are not required to use the visible body on this one. You can use your textbook, which I definitely recommend you having open next to you during this time in lab. You can use the AP Revealed, which came as part of your tuition for this one. You can use this. Whatever method that you want to use, I strongly recommend that when you are either referencing your book or the software, that you also look at the various models or the cadaver and be able to identify those structures, because I can promise you in any lab quiz or test, you will not be tested on pictures. You will be tested either on the cadaver or the model. Okay. With that said, let's get started. I'm following your objectives book. Let me pull this out so you can see this. So you probably have this, okay? We're on Unit 5 for the lab, and I'm just going to go through those various structures on this, okay? So I'm going to just go down the list. It's this visible body program is just a little different than the layout of here, but we'll go through them all, okay? So I'm in the visible body, and I am under the muscle tissue and muscular system. Scroll down, and I am on first going to look at the section 16.6. So let me bring this one up, and that brings us up to this region. Just to give you some orientation to this, these are 3D pictures. Obviously, we can rotate them around. When we pick the muscle, it highlights the muscle. And if we go up to this top part and click on this bottom one, kind of looks like an open book. This actually gives you a little bit of a description, gives you the origin and insertion of it, gives you the innervation, as well as the action, okay? Now the action on the visible body program, although accurate, it doesn't necessarily follow what is in the textbook. Go with what's in the textbook. I'm not going to try to trick you. I'm not going to try to trick you on any specifics of this, and so as long as you get the basics idea, that's the key of what we're going to be looking at. So this first one that we're going to be looking at is the frontalis. Now I've highlighted occipital frontalis. As you can see, this whole structure here, that's the occipital frontalis muscle. This muscle has two bellies to it, two muscle bellies. We're going to have the front part. Okay, well, let me go through this. You can see how we see the muscle up here. That muscle is the frontalis. All of the stuff across this top is what's called an aponeurosis, and then we're going to have the occipital muscle posteriorly. Though the one that you are going to be required to know and identify is going to be the frontal or the frontalis. And one of the easy ways of trying to learn what the action of the muscle is, if you can, touch the muscle, okay, and contract it. So if you were to visualize this muscle contracting, now muscle fibers are going to get shorter. So if this muscle shrinkens, what action is that going to do? Well, it's going to raise up your eyebrows, okay, wrinkles the forehead. Okay, so that's basically what the frontalis is going to be dealing with. We're not going to be dealing with the occipital portion on this, but it moves part of the scalp and so forth, okay? When it's occipital frontalis, just the other name here, epicranius. Epi is about, but you are needing to know. So if I have a sticker on a model that goes here, I would be expecting you to say frontalis. And if I ask what the action of this muscle is, then you would wrinkle the forehead, raise the eyebrows. Another thing to be aware of is the difference between unilateral and bilateral contraction. Okay, so I'll point that out a little bit further as we're going on to other muscles. Okay, the other one on this picture that we have here is the Oblicularis oculi, and this is the muscle that surrounds the eye. Okay, now this is a circular muscle, and think of it as like a sphincter. When a circular muscle contracts, it's going to get smaller. Okay, so the Oblicularis oculi is essentially closes the eye. Okay, blinking, winking. I can't really wink too well without half my face going up, but winking is also, squinting is another thing that muscle does. Okay, so that's the Oblicularis oculi. This is not to confuse it with the next one, which is Oblicularis oris. So that's not going to be, let me change over here. That's not going to be on this one. That's going to be the next one down. And we're going to have the Oblicularis oris. So this is the Oblicularis oculi. Okay, you can see it up here. Oblicularis oris goes around the mouth. Okay, and what this one is doing is it compresses and purses the lips, basically like that. So this is the kissing muscle, something like that. So if somebody comes to you like that, you know the Oblicularis oris is being contracted, and unless they're 5 years old, I wouldn't stick around because that's not the most sexy thing I've ever seen. Okay, so that's the Oblicularis oris. The Buccinator is going to be this one. So if you imagine what structure, if you were to put skin on, what region or what structure do you find that? Those are the cheeks. Okay, so this is a muscle that's deep to the cheek. And the action of the Buccinator is when you're eating food, it holds the food in your mouth. Okay, so when you contract those muscles, it's pulling the cheeks in or compressing the cheeks, and it holds the food between the teeth. If you didn't have this muscle, you can imagine when you're chewing food would want to go out to the sides. Okay, so that helps to hold it in between your teeth. The next one we're going to be looking at, levator labii superioris. That's another one on your list. Okay, and that's going to be this muscle. And think of Elvis Presley. Okay, yeah, just like this picture. Okay, just like that one. That's the levator labii superioris, and that just raises the lip. Okay, it opens up your, raises and moves forward the upper lip. Okay, is there anything else on our list that we need to know from here? No. Okay, so that's it for those muscles. So the next one, we did this one. Ooh, muscles of mastication. Okay, so this is going to be chewing. So let's do temporalis. Okay, this is going to be the temporalis muscle. So let's highlight the temporalis. Let's see, it highlights it on both sides. That's going to be this muscle. And the function of the temporalis is to elevate and retract the mandible. Okay, here's the mandible. So it elevates it and pulls it back. Okay, so let me open up the other program here, just like this. Let me see if I can do. How do I do this? No. Okay, so there's two different things. Okay, so if we are doing, this is the temporalis, okay? Don't worry about this muscle yet, we'll cover that one. So you can see the muscle fibers contracting, okay? So the muscle fibers are now contracting. You can see it's elevating, and it's going to be, this one's actually, temporalis is not showing this as retracting too much, okay? The other one is, this is more of the retraction function. So you can see that's protraction, and this is retraction. Okay, so if you were to combine that previous video with this one, it's raising the mandible or elevates it, and it's retracting back just like this one. Okay, let's exit out of that, go back to this other one. On this, the muscle premium, not all of the muscles are represented with a video here, so I'm picking out just a few of them on this one. So that's the temporalis. The next one, Masseter. Okay, on our list, we just are required to know the Masseter, although technically there are two of them. There's a deep and a superficial one. I believe on the models that you will see, you pretty much only see the superficial Masseter, and that's the one that I am going to be more concerned with. So let's look at the superficial Masseter muscle. The deep one is just going to be this one. So that's going to be the deep Masseter muscle. Okay, so this one is just kind of faded out, and the superficial overlies that. So it's more superficial. Now the Masseter elevates and protracts the mandible, okay? And that this one is the prime mover. If you go back and recall what the different definitions are, prime mover, agonist, antagonist, remember all those. So this is the prime mover for mandible elevation. Now the temporalis also does elevation, but your primary one is the Masseter on this one. The temporalis would be a synergist. Okay, so that is this one, and I think I am missing Platysma. Where did the Platysma go? Let me go off of this. 16.8, so it's going to be here. 16.8, Platysma. Okay. This is going to be superficial on the neck, so it's going from your jaw down to, let's say, your clavicles and first rib and this area. And this one pulls your lower lip forward and tenses the skin of your neck. So if you were to look at this, and you can see that, that's the Platysma. So kind of grit your teeth a little bit, you know, and do this. That's going to be the Platysma, okay? And I think for this first portion, for the head and neck region, if I am not mistaken, I think we've covered them. So Frontalis, Oblique, Oculi, Oris, Buccinator, Levator labii, the Elvis, Platysma, Temporalis, Masseter. Those are the ones that you need to know for the head and neck. And the next video, we'll probably do the pectoral girdle, which is the next one on the list. I think that's what we'll do. So have fun.